on.
Turn on your video. Show us that beautiful face. There he is.
Guys, can they see me? Or
yep,
no?
yep. You're all there. Tell everybody who you are. We got a lot of new folks here.
Yeah, just to get an idea, my name's Henry Serrano. I was one of Claude's mentees, I think almost now going on close to 6 years with the gut sales system. But I've been in real estate probably close to over 30 years now, but went full-time in real estate in 2010. And I do it full-time. I have some other businesses that I do, but real estate's still my primary vehicle that I use. But one of the things, and Claude brought up a very good point and an example of what Dyer's doing. Dyer's perfect on doing Amazon sales. He's going through FBA, working on that side, which is great. The thing here, you guys, is what Claude has mentioned is, look, pick one area. If you're good at residential, go for residential. If you're good at commercial, do commercial. My specialty is land. That's all that I focus on. Now, do I come across homes in commercial? Yes. But focus on one area and really drill down deep with that one situation. So if it's wholesaling homes, focus on that. If it's rehabbing, you can focus on that. If it's leased options, focus on that. But become an expert in that one area, then you can slowly branch out from that. Because I'll tell you, we can get caught up on a lot of shiny object syndromes. But you want to focus at least in that one area. If it's real estate, drill down in that one area. That I would recommend the best with that.
Question for you, Henry. Did you make money last week?
Yes. I mean, I make, like we say, you always make money on the buy. I'm always buying stuff. I'm always selling stuff. I love to be the bank in land. I do probably 80-90% of the stuff I do is owner financing. So those are some of the things that I negotiate. I may come in and negotiate a property where somebody needs to get rid of it. I'll do an owner financing in that certain situation. So to answer your question, yes. I mean, I am always making offers, and that's one of the key things I can't stress.
Say that again. That was music to my ears. That was like someone saying, here's a free bottle of wine. Say that again. I love that.
You need to be making offers every single week, you guys. That is just so important. I can't stress that more than anything. People just get caught up on wanting to know the knowledge and everything else and this and that. Make an offer, because one of the things is that with your offer, it's not necessarily tying you down to that property. If you make a mistake, you can back out of it. I mean, a perfect example is I put an offer out back in September for a piece of land. All of a sudden, they accepted it. I did my research. I found out there was HOA fees attached to it. You know what? I let it go. I canceled the contract and I moved on. So don't feel necessarily that you have to know every single dollar amount on that property. Make that offer, and you can always adjust once it gets accepted.
It's great advice. Tell us about your best deal. I always love to pick your brain because I haven't heard from you in a while. What's your favorite? What's your best deal of 2016 this year?
My best deal in 2016 is I picked up a 40-acre property that had a mobile home that was what they called. What ended up happening was this individual's, it was a husband and wife, moved to Colorado, ended up buying a 40-acre piece of parcel, put a mobile home on there, did the sewer, the water, the electricity, everything. They just received the certificate of occupancy, what they call a CO. And so essentially what ended up happening, he then got a letter having to be transferred back to Florida. They had to dump that property in 2 weeks. Well, what I ended up doing at that point is the property was probably worth $60K. I ended up offering them $15,000. They came back and said, can you give us 25? And I said, look, I'll give you $18,000 and close in 7 days. Are you willing to accept that? They took it. I basically got it for 18, sold it for 48 cash. So suddenly I got it all completed within 45 days. And I never even saw the property. That's one of the things, too, in my strategies that I'm here in Fresno, California. But I don't do necessarily deals in my own backyard. I do them all over the country.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And you got my round of applause. One other question, because you work really hard. Henry hustles. Could you share just for a minute your lifestyle? You are always on planes. You are always traveling. You've got family in Ohio. You live in Fresno. You got a meetup.com group. You help other. I don't want to say anything wrong here, but could you just share a little bit of your lifestyle, what it's like?
And that's one of the things I think in the beginning of the call, I think one lady had mentioned she works there at Cedars-Sinai. And actually, I do live here in Fresno. My mom lives in Bakersfield. I actually have to take her down to Cedars-Sinai to see her doctor. So on top of that, I have two daughters that live in Ohio. So I go back and I see them probably every 4 to 6 weeks. On Wednesday, I'm going to be going to a real estate event that we'll be talking on Wednesday in Florida. So you really have to have your systems in place to be able to do it. So if someone's saying that my life is too busy, I would say impossible. I mean, if you lived in my shoes, for about, a week, you'd understand all the things that I go through. So, but I have the systems in place to do enough deals to kind of continue and maintain the lifestyle that I have. So that's one of the things I like I said, every week I always have some things going. You always have to have some sort of activity going at all times.
How many calls do you make in a week?
Oh, I probably, that's one of the things. I probably talk to 30 to 60 people. But I'm going to tell you, with the gut system, it makes you accelerate, and go through that selling process fairly quickly in order to make those calls. My calls are very concentrated and very short to the point. I do establish rapport, but it's short to that point that I need to do. So I spend a good amount of time, but like I said, I'm very focused on what I need to do when I'm on that phone.
What do you see for 2017?
I think there's going to be even more opportunity going forward. I think one of the things a lot of people are talking about, hey, this market's a bubble, things are going to end up falling back. I mean, that could be a possibility, but I still see a lot of inventory being tight from this standpoint. So, I think there's tremendous opportunity, especially on the buy side on some of these things. There's deals that are happening all the time. So even though there may be, a slowdown in certain areas, there's always deals that are out there, you guys. If you're making offers, things are going to happen. And that's the key thing, is making these consistent offers all the time.
Anybody have a Go ahead,
I
Audrey.
just read a stat by the thanks for that information, by the way. When you said you're down at Cedars, I'm Audrey. I'm the one who's at Cedars, wanting out of Cedars. But even though I love Cedars, let me just preface that by saying they are absolutely the best, blah, 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 but I don't care. But anyway, I read last night that according to the National Association of Realtors, that in 2016, 34% of sellers felt confident selling their home. But they predict that in 2017, 52% of sellers are going to be willing to list their home. How they got that stat, I don't know, but that's promising, maybe.
Well, it is. The thing is that's why you need to be out there in front of them. I know you had mentioned, obviously you're busy, you're tied up there all the time. I don't know if you're a nurse or whatever, but you're probably working 10, 12-hour days in that certain situation. You need to carve out some sort of time, whether it's a Thursday evening, Sunday afternoon, and focus on activity consistently. So whether it's out there, if you're talking to 5 people, great, but you need to have your name out there consistently. So whether it's going to a meetup group, a real estate group, or start your own. I mean, that's the other thing, you guys. I mean, it's a lot of work, but if you start your own, that's another thing that you do. You have to do things consistently so that when all of a sudden, all of a sudden your name pops up. And that's the key thing that you want to be able to do. You don't want to be invisible. You want to let everybody know what you do also.
Talk about your meetup group quickly, Henry.
This was something, you guys, that was started back in 2008. Obviously, that's when the heyday where things were going. And I took over this meetup group back in 2010. And I'm going to tell you, that was probably one of the lowest times for real estate. I had 3 people that attended that one meeting that I had in October of 2010. And I knew at that point that was the lowest part of the market, because usually when I had the least amount of people interested, that's the best time to get into it. And so the key thing with Meetup, you guys, is I do it consistently once a month, every single month. And that's one of the things that I was able to do. I was able also to secure a great location. Claude's been there a couple times. It's with Keller Williams. I secured that location with them and cut a deal with them. And since then, I've given them I gave them 5 realtors. They've probably done at least 30 or 40 real estate deals within our group to be able to do it. So the key thing is that you need to be able to have a good location and do it consistently. But the thing is I don't pitch things. I know you may have gone to other real estate events where you have somebody talking and pitching things. I don't do that. Everything is educational. It's developing the network and being able to have that deal structure. That's the reason why I have that meetup once a month, to be able to do it.
Would any of you guys like to hear Henry speak in San Diego this January or February? Probably February, right, Henry?
Yeah, probably at the end of February we'd be looking.
Would you guys like to hear if I set up like a Saturday morning in San Diego? Would any of you guys like to come in and hear him?
Yeah.
It would either be free or just a nominal fee.
I would.
To cover costs or whatever. We've done it before, and Henry is just he's a real investor. This guy is on and off airplane. He has more mileage points than Southwest can give, I think. You know.
Well, actually, it's American.
Talking about video.
Yeah, I just hit platinum.
Person.
Say that again, Randy.
You're talking about a video conference or in person?
I like in person for these. We can broadcast it, but it's never the same. When you're in a room, there's that dynamic electrical effect. You know, it's kind of different. We've done it before. Did we do one last year, Henry? I don't remember.
Last year we did one here in Fresno, and like I said, I had great reviews on it. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. That's one of the things that me and Claude do. I give a lot of value for whatever. The nominal fee just covers the room and maybe lunch, and that's about it. But you're going to get a wealth of information, because I'm going to tell you guys, I've spent a lot of money going to some of these guru things that are out there, you know, just gathering a lot of the information. And, you know, I kind of go through and share the wealth, so to speak, that way.
How much are they charging now for some of these seminars out there?
Oh, you know, sometimes $15,000, $25,000, you know, but I've been able to go to some of these because either to guest speak or talk on certain subjects. But yeah, I mean, people are spending that much on the education side of it.
Okay. It's interesting. Good. Last question for Henry. I don't want to tie him up he's got a busy day here.
Hey, Henry, this is Ryan. I have a meetup as well, and mine is structured not to pitch, but to generate referrals and leads and just be a resource of networking. You've been doing it quite a bit longer than I have. I've been doing it for a year. What, on average, would you say is, do you get business from it that you actually can document money going to the bank? And the reason I ask that is because I'm thinking about hanging it up just because I got a lot of people that are just looking for free information, but I haven't gotten a specific deal from it after doing it for a year.
Well, it all depends on how you structure it. I mean, that's the key thing on how you structure deals, how you put it, the thing that I try to do, obviously you give value, but I want them to take action. And so I have some people that what I do is I help them put together offers. And so, you know, those are some of the things that we look at. We grab one of the deals, we analyze them. If it's a rehab project, we go through and we do that. But that's one of the dues I really impress upon people on making offers. So to answer your question, you know, I've probably done 3 or 4 wholesale deals this year. I mean, so you could probably add anywhere from 50 to 75,000 over the last, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 years. But I also end up having close to almost $500,000 in private money that I can use. So don't necessarily look at it in the situation of you know, deals. There's a lot of private lenders, a lot of people out there with money that just don't know what to do with it. And so that's the other thing, you need to look at it that way also. But you need to have some sort of structure to where basically they're doing something every single month. You know, that's the key thing that I look at. You know, networking and things are great for deals, but you also want to be able to set something so that at least they can have some sort of action plan that they do every single month. And it takes time, Ryan. I mean, a year is fairly brand new. I mean, I've been doing this for 8 years. So this is something here that I feel is a good venue and a good investment to be able to do. And it builds upon itself. And that's the thing. I know we're used to immediate gratification. We expect to do something and get paid immediately. That's the paycheck mindset. You have to look at this as an investor, basically, and somebody who's building, you know, long-term wealth. And so you have to invest in that business. So the meetup is just one thing that I do, because I'm going to explain to you guys, your success is going to be based on your network. Do you understand that? Who you know in certain situations. That's why I'm able to do deals all across the country, is because I have strategic alliances and networks throughout this country to be able to do it. So the thing to answer your question is have that structure, but also you want to put something in place where they're doing something every single month to be able to do that. And it'll pay off. It's just you've got to go through and have it consistently every single month.
And let me just jump in here real quick. What Henry and Ryan are talking about is meetup.com. And if you guys are not familiar, I think we've spoken about it in previous group calls. Go to meetup.com and check it out and look locally. Type in real estate or business or entrepreneur, and you're going to see a plethora of clubs. Some of them are large. And you can either start one yourself or you can go to these clubs and even speak. I speak at meetup groups. I don't care if it's 2 nuns and a Boy Scout. If I speak in front of enough people about real estate, I got people bring me deals, ask me for help on deals, want to get into deals, have money to invest. This is the networking I think that Henry was talking about. Henry, how can Ryan capitalize on his group? When's your next meeting, Ryan? Ryan?
We are the third Tuesday of every month.
Okay. How can he capitalize on the next meeting? Is there an incentive he can offer, or can he offer people to help them do a deal or find financing? Or how can he do this so he makes this group work for him and bring him income?
Right. Well, one thing, the group that I have is 559 Meetup Group. So you can type that in, 559 Meetup Group, and that's
put it in the text area there.
I did. I don't know if it goes to everybody or group chat.
Yeah,
but it's 559 Meetup. I don't have the link there right now.
It went in there. It's good.
But that's something that there. So I mean, as I mentioned, he needs to structure and give a reason why they want to attend. That's one of the key things, and I think that's the reason why that my meetup has been able to sustain itself for 6 years. There's been other real estate groups that have started up, but then they slowly fade away. And the thing that I bring is I have some sort of structure just to be able to do it and create that networking type of situation where you have, individuals who have money to lend, individuals who need rehab deals, individuals who are wholesaling, and connect all those together in those certain situations.
And you charge them too, and they stay. So that says a lot about your
But
group.
it's nominal.
Well, I charge a very nominal amount. Now, when I do workshops, which I've been doing here lately, they don't mind paying it, and it's very nominal workshop that I have. So it's educational. That's the key thing that they look at. And so it's a very small amount that I charge. I mean, it's really virtually nothing at all, but it gives them a little bit of skin in the game to attend. But the thing is you're right. And I get on them about sending out offers, but I did have one person here listen to me. He went ahead and mailed to a list that I told him to mail to, ended up locking a house deal down here in Fresno for $120, ended up flipping it for $170. So, I mean, that alone, he obviously he's excited, but when you have results from your members like that, they get excited about something. Earlier this year, we helped someone through a rehab deal, so everybody kind of contributed into that, some of the pluses and minuses and what he needed to do in the rehab deal. So those are some of the things that you can bring together where you establish that community. That's the key thing that you want to be able to do is establish that local community so that everybody feels together. Because sometimes in real estate, we feel like we're all out there by ourselves. And so if you have that community that people like to belong to and they feel that there's value, that's the key thing they'll continue to come back to.
That's great advice. Thank you. Henry, how many members in your meetup group in Fresno?
Well, I think online it's showing close to 700. I probably have about 45 to 50 that attend regularly.
Yeah, that's meetup.com. That's great.
I'm going to explain something to you guys. I have been getting people from all over California joining because I do some of the webinars sometimes also with that. So even though they don't necessarily attend, they see the momentum and things going on within that local meetup group they want to be part of. So those are some of the it's good locally, but it's now starting to get people all across California now.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Henry, last question for Henry. We really monopolized his time here. I know he has to go. Chris Manos, you look like the Cheshire Cat there, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah. Chris is new to the group. Chris, have you been listening to Henry for a while?
I have. I really liked what you said about the systems to be able to have your business run. Would you mind expanding more about like what type of systems or how you structured that to be able to give you the lifestyle that you can? Obviously, you're making lots of phone calls, but there's still an aspect to the system because that's something that me and my fiance are focused on.
One of the systems that I do use, there's a lot of what they call CRM systems, contact relationship management. I know for real estate, there's some that are out there that are fairly expensive, One of them that I put together is called Podio. So Podio.com.
Yeah, Podio is great.
Yeah, I use that, but I spent some money to have somebody build out all the apps where basically I have my lead system where my online leads funnel into Podio. I have my virtual assistant pull all the research, all the tax information, and then she actually does the phone calls for me. So she'll go through and garner more information, and then we have it where she sends out the offers to be able to
That's
awesome.
That's good advice. That's good. How did you set up Podio? Did you take a course or class, or someone did it for you?
I mean, I had one course that I did, but mainly just through some of the tutorials I learned. But I actually paid somebody to build out the apps for me. Yeah. So where I have the lead systems go in, I use a system called Zapier to kind of interlink some of the stuff. I'm horrible at tech, you guys. I'll tell you that. That's one of the things. You do not want to be spending your time on non-producing revenue things. Okay, me building out systems and apps, I don't make money. I only make money talking to people over the phone and closing deals. So outsource that. I would outsource immediately. That's one of the things I would probably say what you could do if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, outsource a lot of that stuff. Don't spend your time building that system out. You know, that's the thing that I would probably give out.
But can I do a caveat? Watch your overhead. Don't spend yourself into the red before you even get started. I think people who get into this business increase their overhead so much they can never catch up sometimes.
Right, and I know. I mean, you guys, you see, I work here out of my home. I've got the other home there in Ohio. So, and then everything is basically done on a phone and my laptop. Those are probably my key instruments, and that's it.
Yeah, I love working from home.
Was the Podio? Was it just a one-time fee to have him set it up?
Yeah, it was a one-time fee that I had paid him to build all the apps up, and so that was the thing. But you can do it yourself. I mean, that's something you can put together.
No, I was talking to someone over the last week about it. So about having him build out my Podio and stuff. So. Because that's something I've noticed that we had so many leads I was chasing, when I first started 3 years ago, that I looked back and half of them were sold to someone else strictly because my follow-up system was lacking and we weren't keeping up with follow-ups. And I see that's something that Podio can solve.
It does solve, but use the gut system. I mean, qualify these people within 3 minutes. If somebody wants to sell their home, believe me, they're going to call you 3 or 4 or 5 times. But go through and qualify them, because I do. I mean, a lot of the leads I have, they just want to get a price on their land. They just want to get an idea because it's very hard to kind of assess what their value is. But use the gut system in order to qualify them fairly quickly. At that point, you move on, you go to the next. That's why I do 60 calls a week. I'm done, I'm in, I'm out, and I've got all my offers ready to go from that standpoint.
Henry, do you see what it says behind Chris on his whiteboard there? Over your right-hand shoulder there on the bottom. Talk to 10 people a day, 50 a week. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, I got it. That's my goal. 10 a day, new prospects a day.
Yeah.
And then let me ask you this, Henry. When you're qualifying, you're talking to the 60 people a week, or that you said 30 to 60. Now, the ones that you qualify that you're going to send offers, you're sending offers to. Now, the ones that don't qualify, are you putting them into a follow-up system?
I do. I have my virtual assistant do that just to see if the property's been sold. I have some people come back to me 2 years later. Hey, I got your offer here. Is it still good? And then, so to answer the question, yeah, I mean, I do. It's something that I do follow up on which is key, because everything in life, you guys, even with yourselves, it's timing. That's the key thing here. And so you were looking for a life event, whether it's death, divorce, financial, something is always going on in somebody's life. So that one person you may have talked to today just may not be as desperate, but maybe 6 months from now, they could be going through a divorce. There could be a lot of other different things going on. So to answer your question, yes, I do, but it's not my main emphasis. I have my virtual assistant kind of drip feed on them and just to find out, just to see what the status is. I want to be able to do deals today. That's the key thing here, you guys. I want somebody who needs to sell their property right now. That's the thing that I'm looking at. Not thinking about listing it. They need to get rid of that property today. That's the key thing that you want to be able to wade through all these leads to be able to get to.
Yeah. gut sales, organization, follow-up, conversion.
Yep. All right, Claude, I got to get going here, bud.
Thank Henry. We took advantage of you. Thank you. And
see you guys.
and we'll talk to you later. Thank you, Henry.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. I love when we have real investors on.